It's all a cost-benefit analysis. How much time and energy should go into understanding someone's ideological background, and what's the benefit you get out of it? Jim and I come from a world where benefit to the United States is everything. If it doesn't benefit us, then we don't really waste our time on it. And I think the reason that we've been successful in business outside of government is because we approach it the same way. What's the benefit to us? What's the service that we can provide? And if there's a positive, a net sum win there, then we execute. If it's net neutral or net loss, we're not going to waste our time. So many people out there, our culture, talk about cultural ideology, our culture in the United States has somehow turned into somebody else needs to do it for me. It's somebody else's responsibility to teach my children. It's somebody else's responsibility to keep my neighborhood safe. It's somebody else's responsibility to give me a job. It's somebody else's responsibility to determine if my skill sets warrant a college degree. We've outsourced so much of our life. We've outsourced to somebody else's systematic structure of approval. And who defines that systematic structure of approval? The state. Not the state of Florida, but the nation state of the United States.
Amen on that.
So
I totally agree.
So when you're up against that kind of enemy, honestly, sometimes the best thing to do is just to work outside of the system, which is why that's how we've chosen to operate. We work outside of the system, because then the system doesn't really know what to do with us. And most of the clients that meet us are like, you guys are outside of the system. We're like, yeah, we can do pretty much anything you want to have happen. We can find a creative way to make it work.
But what if the same people who are perhaps funding you to do that are also funding the system itself? Isn't it just a never-ending closed circle?
Here's where I get cutthroat. Do we benefit? Does the client benefit? End of story.
That's it.
You know, and the thing I've learned a lot from Andy, and it's only been,
you guys are working
months
together.
We know each, but
money is the ultimate religion.
But the thing that
necessarily.
the thing that impressed me so much and that has changed my style of doing business and what he does really well is his one thing. So what he does is training, and that's his one thing, and he's able to look outside of anything else and say, no, I'm really sorry. You know, I never could do that, as we know here. It would be like, yeah, I definitely can do that. And then I found myself in a position where I couldn't. Not because I wasn't capable, because I didn't have time, and I didn't want to get outside of the realm of just the one guy. So watching Andy operate, and we sat last summer, you know, and just listening to him, I've been able to one thing it. And you know how difficult that has been for me.
Yeah.
And man, oh man, right, all I'll say is it's taken off. You know, where he's the training person and he does it, and we witnessed last night, you know, how well he does it and how thorough and how servant leadership oriented he is. My assessment work has just been a blessing. I simplified to the point where we can do it. Now, you can't do that in a government organization. You can't one thing it. Even if you're in a certain, you know, if you're in one area of the world or another, you still have many responsibilities.
Even if you're talented, even if you're super talented at one thing,
you're going to get you're going to get moved around. Now they'll pigeonhole you in shit that's meaningless. They will do that, so you got to watch out.
Well, they do that.
You got to be
careful. Why is that though?
Because it's easy, because there's no issues with that one thing. You know what? Put this guy. He's going to do all our computer, you know, work. Yeah. Put him over there. He won't say anything. In the meantime, the dude's burnt out. He's miserable. He's been divorced twice. But you know what? There's never a problem that comes with the computer systems here. Ever. We never have an issue. And I was guilty of that probably a bunch until I started to realize, what's going on with so-and-so? He's miserable. So my point is, the one thing is your detriment sometimes in the Bureau, but also the fact that you cannot choose your one thing and move forward with it is the biggest distraction. It's the shiny nickels. You're either going to be a guy who wants to be on the headlines, or you're going to be a guy that's actually going to get things done. We have too many headline folks at the Bureau right now. Too many people looking for, I got to be this and that. And you see what's happening. You see the press we're getting. And rightfully so, we're getting it. So
yeah, I think Jim and I we're not naive to corruption. We're not naive to conspiracy. We're not naive to the fact that the system is built for the preservation of the state, not the preservation of the people. We're not naive to any of that. But we also realize that our sphere of influence doesn't bleed into that. And I'm not going to spend my chance to create a legacy for my family. I'm not going to spend that spinning wheels trying to reshape the world, trying to reshape the country that has formed the way that it has formed because of the foundation that we've been formed on. We're a giant battleship. we turn, our country takes changes. It turns, it evolves, but those evolutions are really slow. I'm not going to be the one that spins my wheels trying to turn it. And I think what we've discovered in business especially is that when you're, depending on how you shape a business, it can be a freaking sports car. Speed up, slow down, turn on a dime, take off. Or you can spend your time trying to build a giant warship or a cruise ship. You spend 10 years building it and then it still doesn't turn very well, right? And that's just not the world that I'm part of.
Right.
I'll
End
talk
up like
about
John
it.
Kiriakou.
Yeah.
I'll talk about anything that folks want to talk about. If I can contribute, if I can collaborate, I absolutely want to contribute and collaborate. But the truth is, I go to sleep at night just fine with the fact that our country's in some kind of decline right now. I can't fix it.
Yeah, you speak really bluntly about that. And that's one thing that I think it almost like all the same people who call you out for still being active CIA or not a real spy or something, they then hear that and they're like, oh,
well, right, yeah. Well, giving up control. I mean, we have lived a life of control from our service academy days through our service, through our time in the government, and it's so nice to give up that control in many ways in your life, and not to get spiritual or whatever. Give up control, and everything seems to fall into place. Right? We weren't built for that, but we're able to do it. I find the best part of this whole conversation is that an Air Force and an Army guy are using Navy, kind of ships to explain our points.
It's because the only place we can find real inefficiency. The place we can find real inefficiency is the Navy.